Exactly 1 year ago, 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez was lured to a Hollywood Hills where she was murdered and her body dismembered. The man accused of the crime is 21-year-old David Burke, better known as singer D4vd. For months, the investigation was defined by silence. The LAPD remained tight-lipped, and records were sealed by court order, a delay the county's chief medical examiner described as unfathomable. This information vacuum left a grieving family in profound emotional pain. When the silence finally broke, it came with a flood of graphic detail. The release of this evidence was a direct result of a legal gamble. Burke's defense team refused to waive their right to a speedy preliminary hearing, intentionally forcing the state to present its case months earlier than expected. The prosecution responded by dumping a massive wave of new allegations in open court, revealing evidence they had previously kept under lock and key. This brings up a critical question. Is this the unveiling of an airtight case or a calculated piece of legal theater designed to outmaneuver the defense? The unsealed medical examiner's report identifies the official cause of death as multiple penetrating injuries, ruling the case a homicide. The report details 2 specific injuries. One wound entered the right abdomen and pierced the liver, while another struck the left chest, disrupting the ribs and the muscles between them. But the report is cautious, stating these wounds may represent sharp force injuries. Without a recovered murder weapon, forensic experts will have to rely on tool mark analysis of the bone to prove what actually caused the damage. Complicating the physical evidence are the toxicology results. While initial screenings were positive for methamphetamines and MDMA, follow-up tests were inconclusive due to the state of the body's decomposition. Expert analysis of the dismemberment also points to a disorganized methodology. The cuts were not the work of a skilled professional or a frenzied attack, but rather a sloppy start-and-stop process. While these details are gruesome, they contain scientific ambiguities. The lack of a weapon and the messy forensics provide the defense with specific gaps they can use to build reasonable doubt. The physical evidence is disorganized, but the prosecution has built a second front focused on a digital dragnet. The scale of this data is enormous. Using wiretaps, investigators have collected over 40 terabytes of evidence, a mountain of information that the defense is now required to process. Among that data is the most troubling new allegation: the discovery of what prosecutors call a significant amount of child pornography on Burke's phone. Private investigators also claim that photos linking Burke to other minors have been handed over to the LAPD, potentially expanding the scope of the case. To manage this investigation, the state has utilized 3 separate investigative grand juries, an unusual tactic for a single murder case. Defense attorney Mark Garagos argues this barrage of digital evidence is simply a way to slime the defendant, using horrific allegations to push back on a defense team that wants a speedy hearing. By leading with these digital allegations, the state is creating a character portrait that may prove harder for a jury to ignore than the imprecise physical evidence from the crime scene. These 2 strategies are headed for a May 1st preliminary hearing, where a judge will decide if there is enough evidence for the case to move forward. In Los Angeles, the bar for probable cause is notably low. The state only needs to show that a crime might have been committed by the defendant, making a full trial almost certain. The prosecution's theory is clear. They believe Burke killed the victim specifically to cover up an illegal sexual relationship with a minor. The coming months will be a contest between the state's massive digital arsenal and the defense's ability to highlight the forensic gaps in the autopsy. But behind the terabytes of data and courtroom maneuvers, a family is left with the horrific details of a daughter's death, facing a long and painful search for justice.